Hey guys, Mel the Train Tutor here again with another Back to Basics tutorial for you. And if you're not used to my Back to Basics tutorials or don't know what they are, well basically I have a playlist called the Back to Basics playlist, and it's a collection of tutorials and tips, etc. that sort of apply across all terrain building, no matter what you're doing, whether it be fantasy, futuristic, or even if you're making model railways. It covers things like, texturing, basing, working with polystyrene, working with foam board, clump foliage. But anyway, if you've never come across it before, I'll throw a link up into the corner so you can go check the playlist out, because there's lots of other good tutorials in there. But this one is about texturing with filler. Okay, now this involves a lot of white, because filler is obviously white, so I've had to mess around with my colour settings to sort of dull it down so it doesn't sort of blur out. Hence it's a little bit dark, this video, but don't worry, you'll be able to see everything I'm doing. Now, I've been doing a lot of texturing with filler lately. I've sort of changed from gluing with grit, etc. And there's a couple of reasons for that. I mean, first and foremost, this stuff is it's cheap and readily available. Okay, this is Wix's home brand. Wix's is a builders merchants in the UK, a DIY store, if you know what I mean. And this is their home brand, so about 2.5 kilos cost me about £6 or £7, I think. Which is really cheap. Okay, and it's sold everywhere. You don't need to buy massive bags of stuff. You can buy it in just a little tube, which is enough to do small terrain projects, or if you're going to do a table or something like that, something like this. Okay, now there's a couple of real bonuses to using filler, but what I'll do is I'll start to apply the filler and we'll talk about those as we go, rather than me talking while you just stare at a blank base, eh? I'd also like to welcome you to the first tutorial of 2015. Fingers crossed it's going to be a good one. Now, if you're wondering what this is going to look like in the end, here's a quick photo. So, do you like it? Right, so let me show you how I got that result. Okay. So, open my filler up, and there's a couple of very basic tools you need. I tend to use my finger when spreading this on. Okay, but you will need some water. Because filler is water soluble, so I'll put that just there so you can see when I'm dipping my finger. Put there. And then just a bit of tissue. Where's my tissue? And I've got a little bit of tissue here. Okay, now when you get filler, it comes like that. It's a thick, stodgy compound. It shouldn't be sloppy. And the idea of filler is it's to fill cracks, gaps in your walls for DIY, etc. And because of the job it's been designed to do, okay, it's got a couple of benefits which are really good for terrain builders. First off, there is next to no shrinkage with filler, so it drastically reduces all the warping. Okay, so those curved edges that you get on pieces, you don't get it with filler. So that's one bonus. Okay, it dries to a really hard surface, which is, I call it game resistant, play resistant, to be truthful, because it is. On top of that, once it's dried, it's designed to be painted on soon as it's dried. So, there's no need to seal it. You can go straight from putting it on as soon as it's dried, putting your base coat on. Or undercoating it and going for your base coat. Generally, I just do 2 thick base coats rather than undercoating it. But we'll talk about that when we get to painting. Okay. And the other thing that I really like about filler is it dries a lot quicker than PVA. So whereas I'd have to leave, if I textured this by putting grit on it and leaving it overnight, I'd have to leave it overnight. I'd probably have to seal it before I could paint it. Which means obviously you're looking at like a 2-day turnaround before you can actually get paint on it, with gluing it down, waiting for it completely dry, then soaking it in watered down PVA and sealing it. Whereas this technique, as soon as it's dry, I'm good to go. As you can see, all I'm basically doing is grabbing it and literally just putting a coat of filler over. First job is just to get one smooth coat, and I'm not going to do these edges. I'm just going to go right up to the edge just so you can see what I'm doing. So almost done. Yeah, and all I'm trying to do is just get a smooth covering. I want it, I don't want it thick, but I don't want it sort of translucent thin. Yeah, I want a good coverage. Yeah, so the center's done. I'm just smoothing around the edges, and then we'll look at outer texture. Yeah, and there we go. Yeah, so that's what it looks like right now. Okay, and you can see, yeah, it's got a bit of a texture to it, but you know, it looks a bit iffy. Okay, and what we're going to do is very quickly wet my finger, just take off the excess, and I put a little bit of water on my finger. I'm just going to start to rub it round, and what I want is I want it to go not wet but tacky. Yeah, because once it goes tacky, I can start to stipple it with my finger. Yeah, see the stippling? Yeah. Yeah, and this is because what I've done is with just a tiny bit of water, taking off the excess, go in, rub it round till it goes tacky. Yeah, and then just start to stipple it with your finger. So that's what I'm going to do on it now, very quickly. Yeah, with a bit of water, you can go over the areas you've stippled before and re-stipple them. That's not a problem. Yeah, if it goes too sloppy, yeah, and as you're stippling it, it's just sort of sliding back out again, then don't worry, just leave it a couple of seconds for that moisture to be absorbed. Yeah, and then that'll just go tacky enough to just re-stipple properly again. So yeah, so that's one side done. Let me just quickly show you. Yeah, and then let's just quickly do the other side. So a little bit of moisture on there just to make it tacky. And then just this corner. And there we have it. That's done. Right, so if I pick that up, okay, see the texture on that? How easy is that? It's really subtle, it's really low profile, it blends in well, and it is really realistic to what sort of baked and dried earth looks like. Now obviously this hasn't got any grit or rocks on, and you know, I'll talk about that in a future video in blending those sort of things in, but as you can see, it's a really nice texture. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this dry. Yeah, and then what I'll do is very quickly base coat it, and then we'll come back and we'll dry brush it live on cam so you can see, you know, what it looks like once it's dry brushed and you get the effect. Okay guys, so I'll see you once this is dry, which shouldn't be too long at all. Right guys, it was dry in about 3 hours where I've had to wait for the kids to sort of go up to bed before I can finish the tutorial off. And if I bring it up, you should be able to see the, the texture on that. Yeah, it looks really nice, doesn't it? Now what I'm going to quickly do is run my hand just around the edges, yeah, and just catch any little bits and just very quickly over the top. If there's any like tiny little bits just sticking up, that'll just take those off and smooth it off. Yeah, as you can see, next to nothing's come off. Yeah, it is really hard wearing. So yeah, I've got a dark brown emulsion here, house paint. Yeah, and what I'm going to quickly do is basically just give this a coat of this, and then what we'll do is we'll come back, yeah, once that's dry, and give it a dry brush so you can actually see the texture properly. So I'm going to crack on with this, and I'll see you shortly, guys. Right guys, it's all painted up now, and as you can see, yeah, it's got just a basic dark brown cover on, but you can still see the texture on it there, can't you? Okay, now it's time to just give it a quick dry brush, and normally we do layers and that sort of stuff and blend it up, but with this one I'm just going to go dark and then a light dry brush. Yeah, and it should end up looking a bit like that. Yeah, because that's what I did on that one. So, yeah, bit of light cream emulsion what's this, coffee or something like that. Chocolate Dream. Right, spread it out on a bit of cardboard, just like any other dry brushing, take off the excess. And this is rough and ready, so don't judge me on this. Yeah, I'm just trying to show you the technique, but if I just do that and then calm, that's the postie. Oh, look, I've got a bit of too much excess there. See those white streaks? That's because I had a blob on the brush. Oz, calm down, mate. He's a good dog. But as you can see those little streak lines there? That's because I had a bit of a blob, so I'm just going to blend those in. And you just blend them in by just, you know, increasing the heaviness of your dry brushing. I'll caught the edge there. No major. Yeah, that should do it. There we go. Right. There you have it, guys. Look at that for texture. Yeah, now remember, that's just filler, just stippled on, nice, cheap, dead easy, do at home. You don't need big sacks of anything, or you don't need gravel. You just smooth the filler on, wet it down, make it tacky, and then just stipple it. And the effect is really good, and it's really hard wearing because filler is designed to be hard wearing. It doesn't warp, so I've got no concerns over the corners of the bases coming off. Okay, and overall it's a really nice, easy, good looking technique. So guys, that was a simple guide to texturing your terrain bases with filler. I hope you liked it. I'll just very quickly bring this into autofocus just in case. So yeah, can you see that? Is that a good picture? I hope it is. Anyway guys, that's it. Hope you like it. As always, if you've got any experience with this, any questions, anything you can add to this video, throw them in the comments. I always answer the comments. Yeah, if you've liked it, like it. Yeah, if you've got a mate who you think would find this interesting or useful, and you can use filler for doing model bases, by the way. Yeah, I've got a mate who's a pro painter and he uses filler for all his bases, so you know, feel free to share it. Yeah, and that's about it. I'll be back with more tutorials pretty soon. In the meantime, yeah, there you go, guys. Texturing terrain bases with filler, a basic guide. Here you go. All the best, yeah? Ta-ra.